is Rose Transfiguration. I am a Oahu FOC program manager with Hawaiian Community Assets. I did look in the chat earlier and I did see some familiar names, so thank you. And nice to see you guys all here today. If you haven't heard from us or about us, I'm just going to share a little bit about us before we go into the budgeting. But we are Hawaiian Community Assets / Hawaii Community Lending. This is just a group of people from the Kekaha Hawaiian Homestead who bought their home after about 3 years of working with HCA to get them fully prepared for homeownership. So basically, Hawaiian Community Assets, we are also a HUD Housing Financial Opportunity Center. So we help prepare people for home purchasing or getting into a rental. These are founders, Blossom Faitera and Kehaulani Filimoiatu. They started us on the Maui County, and we'll hear about their story in a little bit, but just wanted to share them. So our ohana, we are Hawaiian Community Assets. We are a nonprofit corporation. We are the largest HUD-approved housing counseling agency, and we also own community lending institution called Hawaii Community Lending. We've been around. It says 2007, but that's on Hawaii County. I apologize, guys, but we've been around since 2000, so we actually made 22 years this past January, and we are island-wide, so we are in all the counties across Hawaii. We do have 21 full-time staff and 5 board members on the Hawaiian Community Asset side. On our lending side, like I mentioned, we do own the lending side. So what they do is provide all of our loans, our consumer loans, and they are also a nonprofit corporation. They were founded in 2014 as a native CDFI, and they are co-located with us in our Financial Opportunity Center, and they are full with 9 staff members statewide, so they're across the board as well, and they have 3 board members to take care of them. Now, this is our mission. Our mission is to build the capacity of low and low moderate income communities to achieve and sustain economic self-sufficiency. Our name is Hawaiian Community Assets, and a lot of people think we just service the Hawaiian ethnicity, but we say we have our particular focus on the Native Hawaiians because some of our grants are Hawaiian based. So that's why we mentioned that. And then our philosophy of Kahua Vai, which we do have a curriculum that we teach. It supports affordable housing, cultural relevant financial education, and asset building programs to achieve our mission. So basically, FOC stands for Financial Opportunity Center. And like I mentioned, we are a HUD Housing Counseling Agency. That's what we're founded off. But we also added this FOC to our organization to help be like a one-stop shop. So being able to prepare with financial literacy, income supports, and employment. So what we do is we help our clients that come through, we help them with increasing their income, whether it be with public benefits, and then employment, as well as referring them out to, as you guys saw if you joined last week, we had American Job Corps and then the HCAP Nalima Hana, which I think this is a great opportunity to be in because I've never actually heard of Nalima Hana. So to add these resources to our spreadsheet is awesome. Okay, so community service we provide housing, so home buying education workshop. We teach financial education workshop, and we don't just teach it to you, but we also bring you through your own personal journey. So we do the one-on-one counseling. And like I mentioned, we also do income support and employment, which is career coaching. With that, one of the things I'm going to be going over, one of the factors is the budget. We do go over your goals. We also go over your credit. And one of the best things about the credit that we pull, it is a soft touch, because a lot of clients or people are very reluctant to pull their credit because they hear myths that it'll harm your score depending on what it is. But because we're a HUD approved housing counseling agency, our pulls are soft touches. So if you become a client, this is one of the benefits you have of going through one-on-one counseling with us. Okay. And keep in mind, what we share is confidential. When you do meet with your counselor, whether it be a conflict of interest, because this is a small island, this is a small world. Everyone knows everyone, and we're only limited across the board. You saw how many employees we have, so you're bound to know somebody. So just keep in mind, we do have a conflict of interest form, and we also do keep things confidential. Okay. Just gonna go over that. We've mentioned that before. So when you do our workshops, a lot of you, if you've heard or need clients to go to like programs, like if they're looking for a rental program or they are looking to purchase a home, our certificate that we provide at the end of our workshops qualify for these type of programs. So Hawaiian Homestead Lease, County Affordable Housing Waitlist, other affordable housing projects on the island, some federal mortgage financing programs, down payment assistance grants or loans, and then microloans for credit building and repair. So like our lending side has debt consolidation loans or credit builder loans that you would need to take our workshop in order and receive a certificate in order to receive those products. And this is the lending side. This is their motto. We don't say no, we say how. So just a background on who they are, what started them. And just some products that they have, which is emergency grants, emergency loans, consumer loans, affordable housing loans, and small business loans. They do have their own website, so if you are interested, you can always go to their website, hawaiiancommunity.net, and they will have this on their website. I just want to touch base on what the products are. Particularly the credit builder loan is one of my favorites, and especially perfect for those that don't have any credit as well. So a lot of the homeless, I started off with HCA back in 2007, and I worked with the homeless shelters. So to do their budgeting and getting them on track to get permanent stable housing, credit was one of the factors or the barriers that they came across. So the credit builder loan was one of the products that was common for them to use. And basically it's to start them off for those that cannot get traditional credit. So I'm just gonna pop through these and you guys can take a look at them. You can take a shot of them, but they're also on our website, the Hawaii Community Lending website, if you wanna reference back to them. I just wanna share with you guys what our organization does offer. And then if you guys have any questions after, feel free to do so. So homeowner assistance loan, debt consolidation loan, social enterprise loan, and then each county, depending where you're from, if you have colleagues that are in different islands, they each have their own county emergency loan. And then this is an emergency loan directly from HCL, so there's a difference there. Okay. So how we work, We understand the importance of preparing for home ownership. Preparing takes proper planning, and so that's what we help do. We set a foundation for the ohana. We identify community challenges, work towards solutions, and we understand income, building, repairing, understanding everything about credit, help you identify strengths, accomplish financial goals, sustain financial wellness. So if you guys are interested in sending your clients to us or people that you know for Oahu, this is our email. This is our direct line for Oahu. And the first step to do is to complete our intake process. Once they do the intake, which you can find on our website, hawaiiancommunity.net, and enroll today. From there, it'll allow you to do a workshop, and then once they get all their documents in, they can start one-on-one counseling. Okay, any questions before I move into the budgeting, the monthly spending plan? Do you help Hawaiians? No, we don't. We help the low to low moderate income community families. We just have a particular focus on the Native Hawaiians because some of our grants are funded by like OHA. So some of those things you would need to have Hawaiian ethnicity. But other than that, our general services, we help everyone on the islands of Hawaii. You're welcome. Okay, anybody else have any questions? If not, feel free to contact our main line and then we can help you there. Other than that, let me go ahead and share our monthly spending plan. Now, who has a monthly spending plan? Who has a budget set up? And I can't see anyone.
Robert says he does.
Yay! Elliot, I see Elliot. Okay. All right. No one really wants to look at their budget, but it's one of the most important things that we need in life. And this is one of the things that we teach in our workshop and also go over on your one-on-one counseling sessions because it's the meat of everything, right? Now, I know a lot of you might work with clients who need to converse about spending plans. And the question is like, how do I engage them and how do I approach this conversation with my person? Basically, it's being transparent, knowing why they're there, what, there's a reason for everything. And I say that with no pun intended, but the budget plan, the spending plan is the meat of everything. If we don't know where our money goes, then it's chaotic, right? So I wanted to just go over this. The spending plan is basically our lifestyle. And if we look at it with that perspective, then I believe step by step, day by day, even if we don't have money at the end of the month, we'll be okay because our perspective is like, this is how I choose to live, right? So we all make some type of income, whether it be SSI, whether it is employment, whether it be TANF, whether it be recycling, whatever your income is, there's got to be some type of income coming for us to live. So that's what we would put on the very top right here, employment 1. And depending if you have a partner in your household that you create this monthly spending plan with, that's what would go on the second column. So wherever you do get your funds from, even with SNAP, that's considered as other because that's like income. You don't have to spend your own cash for food, and then you could also put it down in your expenses as well. But you would list down all your income that you receive and then put it in your, and now income is net, so after taxes, because this is what you're given to spend on a daily, right? So net income is after taxes. Now we include savings in this monthly expense plan because we believe that you should put some money away for a rainy day, for emergencies, or there could be things that come up that you need to save for, and if planning ahead, you won't have to have that chaotic moment when registration comes up and there's like $500 that you need to come up with. So putting those savings on the side is very ideal. So that's why we have that savings portion in your spending plan. Now, whatever you choose to put in that portion is basically up to you. We call it paying yourself first, some type of amount, just to get into the habit of saving. The bottom part, which is expenses, would be anything that pertains to you on a monthly consistent basis. So rent or mortgage, your electricity or water, if it's all included, you can add it to your rent and mortgage. Your telephone could consider your cell phone or landline. And then cleaning supplies along with hygiene is like your necessities. So things that you purchased, like toilet paper, dishwashing soap, shampoo, all of those things that you don't really need to buy on a monthly basis, but there needs to be some type of expense put down there for those items. And then of course, gas, car payment, car insurance. Safety check isn't something that happens every month, so we can take that out of there. But if you want to put a savings for like registration in there, that's fine as well. The monthly expense sheet is basically for you to have to know where your money is going, because until we actually put it down on paper, then we won't know if we're spending within our income or we'll have a deficit at the end. So basically, just knowing what your expenses are, where your money is going, as far as groceries, eating out. A lot of us say we don't eat out a lot, but come on, you got to spend at least something, like at least $1 for a soda at McDonald's. Like I need that Coke fix sometimes, right? So I'll spend $1 because I like the way McDonald's makes it. So just putting an amount in there just so you know that I have this in there. So as you go through your expenses and you total it up, as I mentioned before, it tells you if you're spending within your income or if you have a deficit. So if you have a deficit, that's where you would go back to the expenses and look at what you can cut out, the luxury items, things that are just wants and not a need, and try to make it work within there. Okay, now if you do have a leftover, that's where I would say, okay, let's go back to my goals, right? Our savings goals and whatnot, and see how much I can put back there to reach my goal faster. Okay, anybody have any questions regarding the budget or the monthly spending plan?
There was a question. I know that we're going to do some Q&A at the end too, but just from Core about if a client completes the training, how does this help them get onto the county affordable housing list? Is that something you want to answer now, Rose?
Yes, I can answer that. And basically, if they are on the list, we don't necessarily have them do those steps, but they come to us. So people actually come to us because they need certificates or they need this because they were told about us. So basically, that's where we come into play, is provide these workshops for them to get the certificate. So we don't necessarily do the work to get them into county affordable housing. That makes sense.
Thanks, Rose.
Of course.
Okay, with that, we will transition over to hearing from Robert. Robert, go ahead and take the floor.
I'll do it. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much. Rose, that was a lot of good information there. That's pretty helpful. So thank you very much. I also looked through the list of folks who are on the call, and I saw a lot of names that I didn't recognize. So hello to everybody, and thank you so much for being here. So I'm Robert Daly. I am a program manager over at RISE, Residential Youth Services and Empowerment. We work with 14 to 24-year-olds who are experiencing homelessness or were previously homeless. I say previously homeless because we have about 50 youth who we've placed in housing that we're still working with. So much of our work is about housing stability and tenancy skills and maintaining that life. And our youth, besides being at the disadvantage that we all were when we were young of, maybe being the first time out, they also have the stigma of homelessness, stigma of working with social service agency. There's a lot going for them. So we stay with people for up to 2 years after they're in housing to provide supports. So I'm going to talk about 6 things, okay? We're going to talk about communication, knowing your lease, like personal guest policy, respecting the property, meeting your community, and knowing what your resources are. And one of those resources is your budget. We do a lot of work with budgets too, a lot. So we'll start off first with the communication. The number one thing landlords hate is a surprise, and the thing they hate after that is no communication. And usually no communication means a surprise, and a surprise means there was no communication. So we work with our youth to kind of destigmatize those relationships. We want the folks that we're working with to be comfortable talking to their landlord. They don't have to go through us to talk to them. They can, and mostly in the beginning they need that, but we want to build those skills so that they don't have to. So one of the things we'll do is we'll get a release of information between the youth and the landlord, so we can talk with the landlord without them there. The landlord can talk to us. And we'll go there with the youth when they have something that they want to talk to their landlord about. We'll go with them, model that behavior, what information to give up, what information, just go ahead and keep that personal. Don't need to share that part of what happened, and help them get to know their landlord, also to get the landlord to know them, which is even more important. And then it's not just the landlord, it's the neighbors, talking to your neighbors so that they're comfortable coming to our youth with an issue. Hey, that music was pretty loud last night. I was trying to get to sleep, and have that conversation instead of them going straight to the landlord or being mad or having that silent scorn thing. Oh, there's that Robert. Oh, he plays that music. So we do everything we can to avoid that. And then the other communication part is we practice what we call relentless engagement. Didn't answer the door, we're gonna knock again. Didn't text, we'll call. Didn't call, we're gonna knock on the door. We're gonna be there for our youth. It's not their responsibility to provide us their service. We're providing the service to them. We're the ones who are being paid to do this service, and I couldn't get a hold of them. I couldn't find them. That doesn't pass with us. We will find them. We will sit and wait. Yeah, it sounds a little stalkery, and sometimes it does feel that way. But when we have to talk to somebody, especially when they're in one of our a HUD-funded program or one of our other voucher programs, it's really required then on our part. We want to make sure they stay in the program. So, it's another way for us to model that this is important. This is housing. This is the base part of our existence, is being able to sleep securely and safely and wake up ready to face whatever we have to face during the day. The things that happen during the day, we don't have a lot of control over, but we can really help our folks have control over when they're at home, and they can close that door and they can be safe, and they can feel secure and have something to build on. And it takes a little while. sometimes. And some youth we work with, I would like to share, are like, yep, I just need you the bare minimum. I just need to get into a place. I've got this. And it really clicks for them. And it's really wonderful to see that. So one of the ways that surprises happen and lack of communication happens is that they don't know their lease. So they just sign the bottom of the lease, I'm into my place, and they go. And there are so many things in the lease that are helpful. And so what we do is we really go through that lease with the youth, not just at the lease signing, but ongoing. They have an issue, they let us know, hey, this thing, okay, what does the lease say? Oh, I don't know. Well, let's look at it. So we look at the lease and always go back to that lease and help them understand that that's the contract. If it's not in the lease, it's not a thing. But if it is in the lease, it's really a thing. Like it's like you have to do it. You have made this contract and this commitment. It's not just about paying the money. One of my personal things, I have a note here in my office that about communication, and it says that poor communication is not the problem. It's a symptom of the problem. So when I find that somebody's not having good communication, it's because there's some information they don't have, they're not comfortable, don't have the experience of doing something before. So they're not communicating for a reason. And a lot of the reasons that youth don't communicate with their landlords, with their case manager, they don't know the lease. And there's a lot of things in the lease, right? It's besides not what you pay for. One of the things is who can come over, how long they can stay. And the key thing is when we have a guest and that we are responsible for all the actions of that guest. And that's hard one for folks to really internalize and grasp and realize that it's up to them to do something about somebody that keeps coming over that you don't want there, somebody who comes over and immediately, is smoking joints right before they walk in the door and, super loud. They want to blast the music and just causing problems. Which, if that's what the person is into, then that's what they're going to do, right? But helping them understand that what's in the lease is what the landlord is going to hold them to at all times. And so we spend a lot of time. We spend a lot of time working through that lease. And then talk about the guest policy. And I am actually, Morgan, I was kidding. I am going to share my screen really quick here and pull up my guest policy. And how did that work? Did that come through?
I see it.
Okay. So here is our sample guest policy for fake client Fiona. And it has, when guests are allowed, when they're not allowed, who the people are. So mom's allowed always, dad's allowed on the weekends, Candy can always come over, Eric can never come over. This is a form that we use we got it from our friends at OrCode. And we have the youth fill this out for them. This is not something we fill out for them and tell them who they are. This helps us empower the youth that they have control over who comes into their house. They can lock the door and not answer it. They do not have to let people in their home. And they can have it clearly laid out for themselves of who they want there, and it can change as needed. So house rules. So we ask the youth, like, what are the rules? Can people use drugs in your house? Can they bring people over that you don't know? So can I bring 5 people over? Can I bring 5 people over that you never met before? And can people stay the night? Can people use your home when you're not there? Are all these things acceptable to you or not? So we talk through that, and we go back to the lease, and we go back to, well, how would that affect the neighbors? How does that affect you? We use all of these tools. And then we ask them how they're going to deal with things if someone breaks the rules. So what are those steps, right? I mean, don't call me, like I can't, don't call me case manager. Like what would you do? So So we get people to walk through that process of, how they would handle it themselves, who would they go to for support, what would happen if it kept going on, things like that. So they have a real clear understanding of the guests. And folks, I will tell you, it is not from not paying rent that we have problems with our clients. We have problems, almost all of them that are like, hey, there's a problem. It's because other people are there. It's other people coming over that are causing the problem. So we spend a lot of time working on this guest policy so that our youth really understand that they are empowered to do this. And if they feel that they've gotten to a point where they can't handle or resolve an issue with somebody come in, what are those next steps? And then the last is have them do some reflection, like why is this guest policy? Why do I need this? And for poor Fiona here, Eric was doing drugs, and the cops came, and she lost her place, and boy, now she's got some rules. Eric can't ever come over. See, and all of this is only possible if we have good communication with our youth, and if we are really honest with them. And so honesty comes through in that budget. We call ours the honest budget. And we talk about all those kind of things, like, I know you don't have a job, but you also have money. So it's okay. This is your budget. This is not my budget. Like, you can say that you do sex work. You can say that you sell drugs. This is your money. This is so that you can spend your money the way you need it to. And it's just a wonderful, wonderful experience to watch that turn. Like, oh, wait, I am in charge of my life. And if I do these things, I'm in charge in a positive way. This is my lease. This is my place. This is my money. And I can be honest with myself about who I want here, what I want to do here, how I want my life to be and go. And for our clientele, right, who are moving into places that are 18 to 24 years old, that's kind of a new thing for many, many of them. I mean, and there's plenty who have been on their own for a long time. But for folks, just having that feeling is really wonderful. So respecting the property is the next thing. So landlords, right? Landlords care. Are they going to pay the rent? Are they going to be a good caretaker of my property? Are they going to fit my community that I have in this apartment building and these units or whatever it is? So we talk about that with youth. We work with them of like, you say hi to your neighbor. Don't let somebody live next door to you that you don't know. Just say good morning to them. Hi, how you doing? Don't have to be best friends with them. None of that. But just that greeting and departure etiquette, it'll get you so far. Because I tell them, I don't want the neighbor to call the landlord who calls me, that I have to call you about something I'm not even involved in. I want the landlord to just say, hey, this thing, you parked in my spot, your friends parked in my spot. Hey, you put all your recycling in the trash, and the trash not in the recycling. And if the youth is saying good morning, good afternoon, good night to people when they see them, how are you? Nice to see you. That gives the neighbors an opportunity to have those conversations, and it builds community, it builds trust, and it builds social circles. And those are the things that we believe are going to keep people housed, have them have more ownership in their home, and feel like I belong here. So as I'm sure everybody on this call knows, when somebody is experiencing homelessness, one of the number one things to happen is you have to leave here. You can't sit on this bench. You can't come in my store. You can't hang out in this park. You can't pitch your tent here. You can't stay in this shelter anymore. There's a lot of that. So we want to help folks get past that into I belong. This is my place. And knowing meeting the community helps, including things like the corner store, the checker at the grocery store that you see on a regular basis. Just hello, how are you? Instead of just do my transaction. You know, the nice ladies who are walking their little white dogs. There's a lot of little white dogs on this island, by the way. Like a lot. It's like weird, like how many little white dogs. Like the ladies walking their little white dogs. I have a bunch of them in my neighborhood. I say hello to them all the time. About 3 of them look straight past me, won't have anything to do with me. Nothing. Like that dude. I'm not saying that no matter what. Wave at them, nothing. But I still say hello. I still say good morning. Because you know it's on me, right? And so we try to impart that on our youth, that meeting your community is really going to help. The last point I want to make that we work with our youth is knowing where your resources are. So resources are your financial resources, and so it's not knowing where the job is, it's knowing where the money's going. So that's what as Rose was speaking. So we spend a lot of time on budget. Every single month we do a new budget. Sometimes it's exactly the same, but we just keep checking in on the budget, seeing where people are at the end of the month, where they would like more of, what would they like less of. It's just super hard. It is really hard to just get folks to be honest about the budget. But it's ultimately how they're going to be able to maintain any kind of lifestyle, and avoid surprises. And so we like that. But there's other things, other resources. So where's the transportation? Okay, if you walk, but it's pouring down rain, it seems to rain here quite often. Where's the closest bus stop? Okay, if it's not bus stop, can you do Uber? Can you do Lyft? Can you do something like that? Where are the laundry facilities? Are they in your apartment? Are they in your building? Or are they down the street? What do those things look like? And then where are your services that, if you're receiving services, where are your case managers? Where's your health services? How far to your doctor, your mental health services? Where's the park? Where are you going to go to relax? Where are you going to go when you want to get out of the house? Where are those places? And so all of those things we believe are tenancy skills that if we build those things with them, they're going to feel a part of the community and want to stay housed. I'm sure I'm preaching to the choir on this one, but folks are experiencing homelessness. From the outside, it looks like a bunch of lone people walking around, but it's not. It is a community, a very tight-knit community who look out for each other, who help each other, who rely on each other. And you take somebody out of that community and you go, here, congratulations. Here's your little box that you get to live in all alone with nobody around you. Yay! It's terrifying. Just saying the words, like, I wouldn't want that. And so they invite people over. They don't have a guest policy. They don't know what's in the lease. And then all of a sudden they're back out into their community with all their folks. Not like no loss there, right? Sometimes folks, like, really, it doesn't seem like a great loss. It's a huge loss to us. So to avoid that, it's about community, communication, learning to respect the property. Boy, I tell youth, if you see the trash, just pick it up. Like a little piece of paper on the ground. Your neighbors see that, they're going to think a certain way about you. And that certain way is that you care about things outside of yourself. And that lady who lives up there on the second floor, who doesn't talk to you, is going to know, oh, that person cares about us. And that's what we aim for. We want our youth to be cared for. We want them to be loved. We want them to build community circles. And those are our tenancy skill goals. And yes, we help them clean the house. Yes, we take them grocery shopping. Yes, we help them when their hole gets put in the wall and I have to pay for it, I pay for it and fix it for them and things like that. But that's minor stuff compared to understanding the lease, being comfortable with your landlord, knowing your community, and having a guest policy and a budget that is real. That is real. And with that, I'll close out. I'd say about 15 minutes for the end for questions. Or I brought snack, but I'll wait till my camera's off. Thank you. Thank you, Morgan. Thank you, Rose. Thank you, everybody on the call.
Thank you, Robert. Thank you, Robert and Rose, both so much for speaking on budgeting and tenancy. So important, especially during this time, to keep our folks that are in housing housed. Just during this time where I think some fundings are coming to a close. So that's kind of been a big challenge, is how can we keep people in their housing, or mitigate or mediate, some people that may be coming into being at risk of homelessness. So thank you guys so much for talking us through these points. I wanted to open it up. Elliot, is there anything you need to do to allow people to either come off mute or use the hand raise function? And then I'm going to go over a couple of questions that are in the chat right now, while that's happening. So feel free, though, to raise your hand or put something in the chat if you'd like to. So there's a question, Rose, for your program. Has your program worked with households experiencing mental health or substance use concerns? Is there additional supports in place for households that do?
Berta, could you elaborate on that question, please?
Oh, there you go. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, hi. Well, I just mean there are some programs that allow or provide these types of assistance, right, to households, but there are also some programs who have guidelines or restrictions against if there is a household that is, going through substance use. Maybe that might disqualify them from something. So I was just wondering, is your program open to any types of, situations that household may be working through right now, and if your program provides additional types of supports specifically for clients who may be going through, dealing with a mental health diagnosis or a substance use issue? Or are there any restrictions preventing them from being enrolled in your program if they are going through it?
No restrictions whatsoever if they are experiencing any mental health or substance use concerns, as long as they can cooperate and go according to what they're coming to us for, so we're kind of like the accountability to what they're looking for assistance with. So if they anything with housing or financial supports or whatnot, but if they're experiencing those type of things where they need additional help, we'll look up resources, that can help them with those type of concerns. But as far as not taking them in because of they have mental health or substance use concerns, that's not something we turn away. Unless they can't make an appointment, or if they're being out of control, then we need to make sure we're safe and secure as well, as an organization. Because I've come across, when I worked in one of the shelters, I worked, in a room alone. It was just one-on-one at a shelter, and so I need to be aware of those type of mental health concerns, and just for my safety as a person, know how to get out right away, like any. But as far as servicing them, there's no, we don't deny anyone, if that's the question. And if they do come to us and need like other resources, we'll do what we can to provide resources for them.
And if they deny those resources, you still won't turn them away, but they just do still have to participate and basically follow through what they are meant to with you guys. Am I understanding that correctly? Okay.
Yes. So we basically do financial goals, right? Whether it be, you know, looking to save so much money, whether to be on their budget. I had an accountant come with me because she needed help with her budgeting, you know, because she needed that accountability. She needs to clear her head. She knows numbers, but she just needed that assistance. But as far as mental health goes, that's not something that that's not what we're expertise on. So anything within our mission and vision is what we can help them with.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Thanks, Berta. Robert, so Rose had a question on here on just how does the youth qualify for RISE's services? Could you explain a little bit?
18 to 24 years old, experiencing homelessness. That's about it. We do serve 14 to 18-year-olds, but that is, we have a shelter and provide some services. But we have a drop-in center here in Kailua. Website is risehawaii.org, and drop-in center, I get shower, a meal, hang out, connect with some services. Yeah, it's pretty nice. And then we also work with youth with mental illness, substance abuse. We have behavioral health counselors on site, and we even have a group home that is for youth with severe mental illness or other disabilities. So we are deep in the mental wellness realm. It's pretty good. And then you also mentioned rental insurance, Rose. Yes, so absolutely, renters insurance. We get folks signed up for that. We pay for it for the first year or for term of lease. A lot of the leases require it.
Thanks, Robert. I had a question for Rose. Rose, you mentioned I'm just curious on your intake process. You mentioned like once you go through your intake process, then you kind of move forward with what clients are looking to receive from your agency. So I'm just curious, what is there to expect with the intake process? What does that look like? Is it just a screening?
It's just an 11-pager. There's one page just for Hawaii County, so I'm making sure that they read that thoroughly. But it's just so because we're preparing them for housing, it's pretty much like asking for financial information, household information, personal information like assets and liabilities. Because in order for our counselors to assess them for that housing goal, we need to know that type of information. So if it doesn't pertain to that particular client, if they don't have those things, then they don't have to, you know, it doesn't pertain to them. So just basically though, it's just that 11-page intake to get yourself into a workshop. But as far as seeing a counselor, and the counselor needs to go in debt with their situation, we need the supporting documents, and it's listed on our website. Things like your tax returns, your previous tax returns, your bank statement, your current bank statement, pay stubs, just so we can do that assessment, because we do mortgage affordability and rental affordability too. That's part of our counseling sessions. Keep in mind though, whoever's on the call on this webinar, we count our household based off of taxes, the federal taxes. So it's not by who's living in your house with you, but who you claim on your taxes. So when completing the intake packet, and it asks for the household members, it's whoever you have on your taxes. Okay.
Thanks, Rose.
Don't let it be intimidating though, because it is 11 pages. We just have those privacy policies, the conflict of interest, because we have to follow these rules. Sorry, I'm keep going on. Our services are free, and this is how we provide free services, is by that intake. So
yeah, so all of our services are free as well, and I wish our intake stuff was only 11 pages. That sounds dreamy. Sarah, ours is too long. We're working on it. Full disclosure, I don't like it. Nobody likes it. We actually break up a lot of our intake stuff over multiple days to make it more palatable. Right? We have to do stuff for HUD, stuff for coordinated entry, stuff for our own programs, and it's just on and on and on. But we're aware of it, that it can be really traumatizing to people, or re-traumatizing. You have to tell that story over and over, which is something that the wonderful coordinated entry system is supposed to help resolve. And so, we want people to be comfortable and know that it's okay. And so that paperwork, boy, it's a lot. So I'm going to put my email address in the chat for everybody. Please email me. Feel free. Shoot me an email. Let me know what's going on, how I can help. If you have a youth or you want to know more about our programs, or you'd like a tour of our programs, if you'd like to invite me and my team over for a tour of your programs, which I love because we're be happy to do that.
Thanks, Robert. Any other questions people had? I have one more question, if not. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and ask this question. Robert, how has it looked to, when you transition someone off of receiving, more intensive case management, how does that transition process look like, and how do you, I guess, wean people off of case management once you have them in housing? Can you describe that a little bit?
Yeah, well, we start talking, exit planning happens during entry. So we start exit planning as soon as they move in. We let them know your subsidy is for a year, your case management services are for this long, and then the next month, now it's 11 months. And so we don't like surprises. We don't want them to be surprising. Oh, what do you mean I'm done? So we talk about the exit planning all along the way. That really, really helps because new questions come up. So there's not a lot of exit planning to do other than on day one, other than, hey, our services are going to end one day. But when you start getting down towards month 9, 10, 11, it really looks different. So we keep everybody, there's a minimum amount of services that we have to provide through our funders after they're done with the subsidy. And it is once every 6 months follow-up. Well, that's just too few for us. So we will, even somebody that maybe was on a rapid rehousing voucher, they're done with that, they're in their own, they're paying their own rent, we're still going to talk to them once a month on the minimum. Sometimes it's a call or a text, sometimes it's a visit. But we are fortunate as an agency to have multiple funding sources. So we're not, right? So I can pay a case manager to go and see somebody every week, even though they're off of that other funding source. So Morgan, I guess the shorter answer is just we let them know what that looks like, and we want to build. So all during the time that they're with us, we're trying to build those social circles, build as many social circles, whatever that is. Is it their faith community? Is it reunification with family? Is it building new friend groups? Is it some kind of community involvement? Is it their neighbors? Like, is it that they get a dog and they go to the dog park and they meet some other dog parents, right? And so they have that group, like whatever that is, and help them build that up, because that's the ticket, is having community supports that are driven from that own person's desires and wants and interests. So like that. And we always take them back. They're always ours. Well,
Thanks, Robert. Okay, any last questions, you guys? Well, just want to say a huge thank you to Robert and Rose for volunteering their time, for working on this session to prepare this great information for us, and for Elliot for putting together this series and organizing all of our, putting together our infographics and making sure we've got links for this series. So thank you guys so much. Thanks for those attending. As we mentioned in the beginning, in case you missed it, so all of these sessions have been recorded. It'll go up on the Partners in Care website. 4 of the sessions are there already. Yeah, feel free to email us. Feel free to email Robert or Rose if you have any questions that come up after the session. But thank you guys so much. Have a great rest of your week.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks, Morgan. You're the best
Yes,
facilitator around.
Thanks, Robert.
Okay.
Thanks, you guys. Bye.
Thank you.